Rituals are gone tomorrow. There was a sudden announcement on Twitter today by Harris Ponpon that Rituals will be removed with patch 4.5, which is coming out on PC tomorrow, meaning they will be gone from PC then and gone from console in the near future. Why is that so, and why does this happen now? Well, first of all, you have to keep in mind that there was a lot of criticism for the Rituals from the start of Season 4. It was actually one of the most criticized points about the balance of the game, especially the pros did not like them at all. Hi-Rez has actually made the effort to explain their position as to why they're doing this now. I will link the thread down below, but some of the points here as well. I think this is a very good move, and it's very good that they explain why it happens now as well. So essentially what it boils down to is that they didn't want to rush the decision because they wanted to see if the meta changes revolving around the Rituals, if there are different approaches, different strategies that can be considered somewhat beneficial, that can maybe incentivize new ways of playing. But none of that would have happened in a way that they wanted it to be, because otherwise the Rituals would still be there. And because of that, they decided to remove them now, as they basically came to the conclusion that there is no benefit in keeping them any longer and trying to make them work when the overall reception of them is not that great. Hi-Rez understood that Rituals were a problem from the beginning, were not necessarily liked, or rather disliked by most, but they wanted to see how they developed over time. They saw that with every nerf the Rituals got, they would still get picked up more or get more present, because more and more players realized how well they can be used, and eventually after many nerfs they realized that, hey, this is not going the right direction, we can not make them work in a way that we want them to work, so now it's time for them to go, as whatever we do is not going to help the situation. What they took away from this is obviously how this general mechanic was perceived, and we'll take that into consideration for future changes, which I think is a very good approach. It's very good to be able to learn from the experience, even if the experience for many of us was not that pleasant, or especially in the pro scene was not as pleasant as it could have been. The initial reception to the post was very, very positive. As you can see here, I took a screenshot earlier of the upvotes or downvotes. There was 100% upvotes on the thread, so that kind of tells you that most people are on the same side as Hi-Rez here and really didn't like the Rituals and really wanted them to get out of this game. But before we close the book on this, let's look at the Rituals one last time, maybe as a reminder of what they were, maybe for those players who come in later and don't even know what Rituals are, and just in general to see which ones were really the ones that led to this change or led to the removal of them. The first one we're looking at here is Flickering Ritual. Flickering Ritual was basically a combat blink that allowed you to teleport in combat away from the enemies or towards the enemies or whatever you wanted to do. You could use this in combination with normal blink. You could literally blink twice in a row and it would have no repercussions to it because you could really use it at any point. Originally the range was 70 units and it cost 750 gold. Throughout the time it got nerfed, it cost 1000 gold and it would allow you to teleport 55 units. It was originally probably the most obvious one out of the relics that everyone saw right away because it had such a direct impact in a team fight, and it was very annoying, very frustrating to play against, especially if you're playing against a character whose weakness is lack of mobility, and then that character is all of a sudden mobile. That can lead to very annoying situations. Like all other rituals, it unlocked at level 10, and it was sometimes even bought before full build because it allows you to just avoid death in very crucial situations, and it can be worth more than the last item on certain guards. It can also allow you to engage when you can't get Blink as a relic, especially as a support. So there were many reasons to pick it up on pretty much any guard in the game, and that made it very potent and very present. More so than others that maybe were stronger. Like, I wouldn't say this was necessarily the strongest ritual, it was just the one that was most prominent. The next one was Rallying Ritual. Now, Rallying Ritual was another story. Rallying Ritual is basically just teleport to guards in a relic. There were some glitches with it in the beginning. It used to not work when the character that you're trying to teleport to got CC'd. After that was fixed, the item quickly became very, very popular. It cost 750 gold until the end, and it did, towards the end, not allow you to teleport to one guard with multiple players anymore. So one person could only teleport to one other person at a time. that did not matter all that much. We would still see things like somebody dropping a single ward near the Titan, teleporting there with his normal teleport, and then having the rest of the team teleport over with Flickering Ritual, which still didn't take too long, even if you wanted a full team there, or at least 4 people there, and then just backdoor the Titan. That was way too easy to do with some characters, because you could also use normal backdoor guards as you would before, and then just get an extra player in, and that would often be enough to take down the Titan. So, really, this was very, very frustrating to play against. It also did change team fights. There were a few occasions where people would just back out and then come in and just snowball through the team fight with full health and full mana. So really a lot of reasons why this one was particularly disliked, because it was just not really counter-playable as the others were, being mostly an annoyance and maybe an interesting game mechanic for some. The third one was Frenzied Ritual. Frenzied Ritual was old Frenzy, what originally was the active Frenzy a long time ago, which increased the attack speed of allies by 20% and the damage done to all targets by 25%. This ritual also had multiple uses. It was probably originally mostly intended as a teamfight ritual, and it was used as such, but it also was often used to take down objectives as quickly as possible. Basically, spending 750 gold is always worth it if you want to get a fire giant for that in return, or a structure. So it was used to do just that, to take down phoenixes really quickly, to take down fire giants quickly, or even to take down the Titan. And if you consider that you could use it in combination with Flickering Ritual, then you could teleport your support in with his Frenzied Ritual and his Flickering Ritual, and drop a frenzy on the whole team and kill the Titan even faster. So also one of the ones that was not very much liked. And that leaves us with the last ritual, which is actually the only one that I personally think had its own niche in the game, and which I personally did not have a problem with. With all the others, I would agree that I would say they were not that good for the game. They were not fun to play against most of the time. And it was annoying for supports as well that they basically had to get Frenzied Ritual all the time, which was kind of mandatory, and kind of shifted how team fights work in late game and how certain team comps work in terms of effectiveness. With Revealing Ritual, that was not the case. Revealing Ritual only allowed you to see the enemy team for 5 seconds. It would basically reveal them and show all their enemy wards for the same time. This one is actually, I think, reasonable. I think it was a very strategical one that would be nice to use in order to see what the enemy team is doing, to check if they're on an objective, to check if they have any wards nearby that you want to take down before you engage on an objective. And I think this was one that was actually more designed for counterplay, whereas the others were mostly designed for aggressive plays. And as such, I wouldn't mind if there was some iteration of this coming back. The problem with this kind of thing is it has always been too weak to be used as a relic, but at the same time, with rituals gone, it doesn't really have another place. Maybe in an item, but that would be a weird effect, because basically we don't have active items in Smite, so it would have to be some certain on-hit mechanic or something, and that would make it very, very complex. So with it gone for now, I don't think we'll see it all too soon, and that's, in my opinion, unfortunate. In the long run, I'm interested to see what will happen, especially to Frenzied Ritual now, because Frenzy was for some players a very interesting relic, especially because it meant that it was kind of the counter to Shell. It was never really used as such as of late, because they were kind of independent from each other, one being a free and the other one being a ritual, but at the same time I know that I personally would still like to see a mechanic like Frenzy of some sort in the game, just not in the way where you can just buy it as a free extra slot, but rather as an active. And maybe this will happen, maybe we'll see this come back, maybe there will be a weakened version of this that includes revealing, who knows, just like combining two effects in an interesting way. I don't know yet, but that could easily be too strong anyways. So I think that not everything that came out of this is bad. I don't think that every single effect of this rituals was bad. It was more the problematic way of implementation by being able to buy them on any character as long as you had the gold. I wouldn't even be completely surprised if Combat Blink made a return in the form of Blink Rune, though I do think that a lot of players would be against that, and I don't think that Hi-Rez really wants to risk that at this point, because I know it would be a very controversial change or addition from the start, because back when it was a thing, it was already not liked that much. That's it for today's topic. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this was interesting. Let me know in the comments down below how you feel about these changes, which of the ones you will miss the most, which relic you really liked, or if you're just happy that they're all gone now. If you aren't subscribed to the channel yet, I would much appreciate if you click that sub button and maybe the bell. It really helps me out. See you for the next video tomorrow. Sloth, out.